back again with Lee. We're with Lee now. Hi, Lee.
Hello, Karen. How are you? All right?
I'm all right, thank you, my darling. You?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Just to tell everybody that me and Lee had a hangout, and it was a really good hangout. I was really pleased with it, and for some reason it didn't record it.
But tell them how long it was for as well.
It's about an hour and a half, wasn't it?
It was ages. It was quite a brilliant hangout, but it was only, it'll be confined to just me and Karen now. But
yeah, back to you and me.
Huh?
Back to just you and me.
Yeah, just me. I've just been actually watching your videos here, Karen, on this Unscrambled channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. But then, really annoyingly, they put me into Library of Congress, and then you got another one. You know what shows the San Francisco 1903 stuff, and that's the. Did you look at that, any of that Library of Congress? But that's sort of their one. That's their version of actually things, not actually truth or kind of type posts. But the algorithms work. They just sort of send you into whatever direction they want to do instead of what you really want, which is another sun and moon post or another what's your one here?
What it is you just want to see sun and moon, and all they're doing is showing you all the other posts. Yeah.
Unscrambled channel, or
yeah,
even whatever it was. But it's just so much easier before, wasn't it? With the algorithms.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's but yeah, that's I just turned off the WhatsApp because I'm in this this boxing thing I go to here and there, but what it is, their messages keep coming up, even though I've actually killed the WhatsApp notification for some reason. I don't know what's going on there, but that's so annoying. Are you there, Karen?
I'm definitely here. So Lee, what were we talking about? I can't.
We had loads of conversations about different things.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know. I just what's we talk about? I'm into my flat Earth, you might say, and all that geocentric view of the world.
You're also another person that goes up to Hyde Park Corner, so you're one of the silent crew, aren't you? You're one of the people that goes out and doesn't get, like Gary, who I've just had the hangout with, who isn't recognised or doesn't get appreciated for what you do.
I haven't made a penny out of any of this ever. Of this whole flat Earth world. I should have really, maybe, but I haven't got no YouTube account, and I just normally I'm just a normal. I just sort of go on Facebook here and there, and that's pretty much about it, really. I sort of when I came into this flat Earth thing, I sort of I used to think you have to pay for YouTube and to subscribe and all this sort of thing.
Oh yeah, you did say that before. I remember you saying that in the last.
Yeah, we had that conversation. Well, that's good. So we can have that. We can have a little bit of that again. But basically, that's what I thought, because if someone don't tell you, then you just don't know, really. Especially if you're kind of like, say, a 40-odd, like I am, who's kind of missed the sort of tech generation, innit? Do you know what I mean? We're sort of more Nokia mobile phone crew. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there was sort of like coming into it from a sort of like working man's perspective of, a building site worker, just doing electrical and things like that. You don't really get time to ever go on a computer. It's just dirty, and without the smartphones. So the big game changer, Karen, is the smartphones, because without them, no one would ever. It's just a mad how it's all worked out, where we were given the smartphones, and then the people were given the license to make stuff, put it up, and then people like it or they don't like it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of, do you know what I'm saying? It was like just an amazing, something just like created, and now they've kind of shut it down a little bit here and there. They're shutting it down.
I think I said to you last time, whatever technology they've had it for a long time.
Yeah, they're just releasing it, or like, so, I don't know, have you ever seen footage of like the earliest footage ever and all this? It's brilliant. It's as clear as it is today. It's just weird.
I think the actual photography is actually clearer than it is today.
I don't know what, yeah, exactly. And all these buildings, what you've been rightfully pointing out with the Tataria mud flood type thing, is brilliant. It's just sort of like these buildings are just so old. Now, where I live, Marylebone, just near me on Marylebone Road, Euston Road, runs into Marylebone Road, runs into Baker Street, that kind of. So you got sort of like sort of really old buildings, and these buildings are all mud. The whole area is a mudflood. This whole even the West End,
talked about that
the whole of London is actually a mudflood. It's crazy, Karen. You should come around here one time. I'll show you. It's like I've got this church. And it's so far down, and it's sort of Gothic church, and the actual street level in them days is so. And then you've got this other next. You know, have you ever been outside Great Portland Street Tube Station?
What was that?
In London. Have you ever been outside Great Portland Street Tube Station in London?
I don't think so, but carry on.
Okay. There's a massive church which has been here a long time, because I'm in this history book called Camden Pictorial History. I know a little. This church is so old, but it's a complete mudflood situ with the, you know, these like massive windows up to Baker Street, especially.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying that I was watching it with Trinity 4 was showing us Arundel, and you went down these steps to go to this church, and you've got windows that are under, like most of the windows under the pavement. Yeah. It's quite incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So it's kind of like how does a hill become a hill?
and it's got a building in it.
Well, no, you know, like even a hill, like, you know, like something like in London, like Primrose Hill, right? Primrose Hill was the last,
right,
at the top of a hill. But how does a hill become a hill? It's like, is there something buried in the hill what they're not telling us? Like a giant or something? You never know. Do you know what I'm saying? It's sort of like, it's such a bizarre, because that's how they found the when the Smithsonians wanted to go and find all the relics. All they had to do was figure out where the hill, this whole cut down trees thing, where the trees were cut down. It's quite a mind blowing experience actually going through that. You know, the no trees on flat Earth.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's quite so you become a flat earther, and then they throw something at you where they give you a reason of why that would be. How would you sort of like make a flat earth? It's such a big poster. Did you watch that at the time, Karen?
I don't know if I did. I'm not sure.
You got what the no trees on flat earth thing?
Oh, I have. Oh, sorry, I have seen those. Sorry, I thought you were talking about something else. Sorry, yeah, I've watched a bit about that, but I'm not sure.
That no trees on flat earth was a bit of a game changer. I think it was like does that come out?
What's your take on that then, Lee?
Say again.
What's your take on that? Do you believe that's what's happened? Is we just have lost?
Of course, that's what's happened. There's no other explanation for the whole situation, because it's a like where someone cut down the trees, isn't it? Like, and then you're kind of like
the big trees. There's quite a few pictures of them cutting down great big trees in the 1800s.
You know what it is? It's not only that; it's sort of like leveling out the ground. You know, like where the English countryside is to be marvelled at. That is the finished product of what it. Do you know what I'm saying? So you had one day. So say you wanted to make the world, you would have to grow loads of trees, and in like a greenhouse in your house, and you have to sort of like make the foundation. But the only way, it's just a bizarre thing where I reckon that the Earth was always here, and this certain pocket of the Earth, and if you go to other parts of the pockets of the Earth, they're probably filled with trees what are just going up to the heavens or going up to a sky. If there is something, if there is more Ezekiel wheels or however you want to put that, if like an Ezekiel wheel is, I'm not really a Bible person, but it's sort of like, you know, the wheels within the wheels and sort of thing, you know, and like the picture, you know, the flat Earth depiction of the Christian flat Earth depiction of flat Earth. It's a bit of Ezekiel when he's kind of looking out of the thing, but he can see other wheels, which means that there's a sun, maybe, and a moon, and a few stars in another pocket. I believe in the pond theory. Do you know that one, Karen?
Yeah.
It's a great theory. It's just brilliant. And what it does is, as well, the con theory kind of like doesn't hem us in. It don't hem us in, and maybe there is, at the end of the earth is the Antarctic ice thing, yeah. And then you got what's after that? What's going on? We don't know. But then there's, I've got the Ancient Aliens version, but no, they don't even get that close between that lot. They get another completely different Admiral Byrd story of him flying over the inner Earth. And if you ever sort of try and speak to people who are uninformed about that, they'll go, "Oh no, I'm into inner Earth," because they've probably just sort of had the sort of Ancient Aliens-y kind of education, which ain't a bad one, but it's just kind of way off the truth when they start talking about far out space and all that. But a lot of the other stuff, like the Peruvian stuff, is sort of kind of still good research. They're doing still good research there, and so I sort of do keep an eye on that. With the pyramids all over the place, and oh my God, that's my Chinese. But that's all right.
Where's mine? You mean you're having?
You gotta let the ring finish. Hello, Henry. Okay, my man. I've got the best Chinese delivery guy. He's on. Do you reckon I should ask him about the Chinese thing? What do you think about that, Karen? About this? I wonder what. Do you want to hear what Henry says about it? He's like a London Chinese guy. He used to go. But I'll ask him when he comes. I'll ask him what's happening in Wuhan? And is it called Wuhan?
Oh yeah, you mean the coronavirus?
Yeah, but yeah, exactly.
Ask him, yeah. Although don't forget he lives here, so he'll just sound like a British person, probably, But yeah, ask him.
Yeah, but they watch Chinese TV in it, like in his Chinese takeaway place where they're all working at. I wonder what it's it's a bit of a strange one that, because it ain't a lie. It can't be a lie, can it? Half of everything's a lie, and half of things
well, most things end up being a lie, Lee. They end up being a lie.
Do you know how many people this Wuhan actually holds? It's like the half of bloody the west coast of America or something like that. The population is in the millions. And there he is there.
Well, go and ask him then. Ask him.
Say again? Yeah, I know. Yeah, they've done well. Come in, quick. I'm just doing what it is. I'm just doing this interview. Just people I know. My flat earth community thing, the sun, moon, and stars family. What do you think of the Chinese thing, the Wuhan? It's got crazy, isn't it? Like
they're overreacting.
They're overreacting. Thank you, Henry.
Yay!
Thank you. See, they're overreacting. That's what all the troopers would have known straight away. Exactly, and they overreact. Just put it in.
They are overreacting.
They're overreacting. What about in China itself? Have you heard of it? Have you heard of anyone there?
Yes, it's complete lockdown, so you should be safe now.
It's a lockdown, yeah, but do you reckon it's all over the top?
It's overreacting, especially the Americans. They are overreacting.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it might be. The Americans, because with the trade thingy, innit? With them sort of like not getting on with China and that. Is that right, Henry?
They will kick them when they're down.
They kick them when they're down, innit? Yeah. They kick them when they're down. 31. Okay, was there 20 there, Henry?
Yeah, that's 20.
30. Hold on, folks. I'm just going to get my man a pound.
We'll hang on, don't you worry.
All the others, kiss my mate. I don't know. All the others, they get a tip. No, it's like, just one. He doesn't take a tip, man. He's the best ever, this guy. Henry, thank you, my man. Thank you very much.
They are overreacting, and it's safe to eat Chinese food. Okay, so it's
of course, and it's exactly. Thailand. I don't want that messing up my
your trip.
my Thailand trip. You know what I mean?
Just wash your hands, clean your hands, wash your hands. Make sure you're clean and you have no problem. And stay away from people that looks weird. Okay?
All the ballers, all the people that believe in ballers. Yeah, take one of them lot.
Oh, thank him for that.
Right, go on, come on, carry on.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, there you go then. He just thinks it's a hype, doesn't he?
He's just saying, and he watches TV, and he's in the Chinese community here, you know what I mean? Even though he speaks good English, and he went to secondary school, he is actually Chinese. Like, so it's a bit of a living. You know what he just said there is bang on, because he's saying about that China and America don't get on. at the moment with
so they say.
But yeah, there's trade embargoes and there's rows about tariffs and all this sort of thing where Trump came in and basically sort of put his foot down on a load of, anyway, forget about all that. But so yeah, that's probably over exaggerated, like all these other things, like even that mad cow thing and all this is that over exaggerated in our country?
It's all over exaggerated on purpose, isn't it, to make us think that something else is going on when it isn't.
Well, it's just being more fear, more control. Remember, you kind of rattle the cage in a different way. Sometimes you tap the cage, sometimes you rattle it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's sort of like, maybe it is all that, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's hard to know what's the truth and what's not the truth anymore, isn't it?
Well, how can you sort of like, it just seems very man-made if it is that bad, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? Well, what's going on? It's sort of airborne. What? You know, if we were like, why would something like break? It's just so strange, but it must be. It could be real. I'm just sitting in my flat. I'm like none the wiser, like everyone else. And even if I did put on the news, that would probably send me in a different direction of what the truth is anyway. So you know, you're sort of caught in between actually watching the news or watching the TV. But I am someone who likes to watch the TV. And I think it comes under a lot of criticism. But there is some good on the TV as well. You know, people say, "Oh, chuck away your TV" and all this kind of thing.
It is the quickest way to get to the people, isn't it?
Yeah, but it sort of is a good thing, the TV. You're sort of you're sort of cutting your strings if you chuck away your TV like that. I don't think you should just sort of. I think you should sort of just pick and choose, or just know the official narrative. Because even like I'm just studying this Rome thing at the moment, and listening to. I've gone to about part 4 of about a 10-part thing with it's just interesting though. You know I said it, and I know you hadn't really heard of it, but you know that Martin Leakey in the convention in where they had the convention anyway, with Robin's convention, that thing, yeah. It was talking about sachets, these things. I think I'm saying the right thing, where it's sort of like they might have yielded some type of electricity, where they're like a load of poles all together, and you will see them. Well, you know, in this Roman story, Spartacus gets hold of one of them, which probably no one, which is just an interesting thing. Where what it is, these generals basically Spartacus' army get his horse and get his sachet. But how do we know that sachet ain't really they say it's sort of to do with something. So if you've got that sachet, you can sort of go and rule that land or something like that. But it's sort of more of a statement of intent from the conquerors. But how do we know that wasn't sort of some crazy electricity to it, or something like that? And that's why Spartacus's army was so strong, because they had one of the sachets, one of the machine guns or whatever. I don't know. Maybe, just a thought. But that's what makes you think. When you've been lied to so much, start putting A and B together and coming up with D.
Yes, you do. Don't you? You do that.
Go on, talk, Karen. I talk too much.
No, it's your hangout, my darling.
No, go on.
It makes up for the other day of having to have this hangout, and it didn't record any of it.
But it's a completely different hangout, Karen, as well.
It is. We're Monday now.
It is. I'm completely different from what I was a day ago.
Yeah, you're not frightened to death now, are you, about being on a hangout?
Maybe. Yeah. It's So yeah, there's so much to talk about. You just can't. You don't know where to begin, innit? It's sort of, But let's get back to the no trees thing. So what happened there then? And then, that's what I was getting to that bit. But then you kind of like realise there was the no trees thing, and they cut the trees down. But who cut the trees down? And do you know where you get that?
I think they had to do that. They had to do things like that because otherwise we'd start noticing, like, well, look at the size of the trees.
No, but do you know who cut the trees down?
I don't know.
Right. That was an answer, but basically that answer is in the Book of Enoch. Believe it or not, Enoch's angels cut down the trees. That is so scary. Isn't it? What? Because someone cut down the tree. You know what I mean? It's sort of like if you look at some of them trees, the way they've been cut with a saw, like doom, 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 like just as you would do, like So it's just like some kind of like ship, I don't know, or some giant. Who knows? Some giants probably cut. I don't know. Who's done the trimming? Who done the trimming is the question on that one.
I don't know, but they were, a lot of our houses had lots of wood in them, didn't they?
Well, yeah, this is the thing.
And do you know what's really strange? My house in Hungerford, right, was built. It was one of the oldest houses. It was probably built in the 1700s, and I think it was something else at the time. But in the attic, they've got these great big beams, and these beams, like for the roof, they come from a ship.
Really? Yeah. The roof of the house comes from a ship.
The beams up there are like ship beams.
Oh my God! Yeah. Where was that? Where you are?
Yeah, it's a house I lived in, Hungerford. I'm just saying, they were ship beams up in the attic, supporting the roof.
Yeah. The Hungerford's where a prison is, isn't it?
Mm.
The Hungerford riots or something. When I was a kid, there was the Hungerford. Hungerford was, I think it was satellite.
It's known for Michael Ryan, who in the 90s, early 90s, maybe late 80s, he went on the rampage supposedly, and like the things that happened.
Oh, the Hungerford massacre! Oh my God! That's what it's called, the Hungerford massacre. I knew I heard of Hungerford before.
It was before my time, before I lived there. I don't live there now. I live in Thatcham, which is the other side of Newbury. I lived one side of Newbury. Now I live the other side of Newbury.
Really? It's all these places, yeah, I've heard of. Like Newbury's a race course, isn't it?
It is. It's known for its race course. Yeah, lots of bands play there, so that you buy your ticket and you watch the bands.
What's the county again, Karen?
Sorry?
Is it? What's the county?
Berkshire, Royal Berkshire. Because we're in the same county as Windsor Castle.
What, is Reading in Berkshire as well?
Yeah.
Ain't it in Hertfordshire? No, Reading's towards the west, isn't it?
Reading is Berkshire. I'm Berkshire, but I'm a little bit further on.
Tell me the London train station where it goes.
Paddington.
Paddington, yes. So it's all west. Paddington's all west. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, or Marylebone, isn't it? them two only though. It's sort of like, yeah. And then you got the King's Cross and Euston for North England, isn't it?
Hmm.
And east is Liverpool Street.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the west, that's interesting. The west, yeah. And I remember I told you I went to Reading, and it was pre-mobile phones and all. Pre-mobile phones? Can you believe that? It was like about 94 or so. Not pre. They were bricks back then. But I remember I had a date, and I met at a Primal Scream concert, brilliant concert. And I was late for the date. Oh, as typical as I am. I'm not one for being early. But anyway, I rushed there. I brought my mate, and she was gone. And I looked in a few pubs, but it was the days before the mobile phone. Do you know what I mean? In the 90s, in the sort of like early mid 90s. But it looked alright. It was a nice town and that. I only stayed for about an hour and then just got back in about 2 hours and then just got back on the train to London when I couldn't find her. But then I phoned her and said, she said I was in the pub. Just stop it because you're late. If you're late to a date, you know what I mean? It's sort of like the bird might not think you're coming, isn't it? You're not going to turn up or something.
Yeah. So what happened with the date then?
Well, I re-phoned her back, obviously. So I went the next day, and I said I did go, but you were like I was late. I told her I was late. It was my fault, though. It did teach me a bit of a lesson that not being late. What unbelievable! It's but it was Yeah, that's what I remember of Reading. I'd only been there for 2 hours. What a blow, though. You know them kind of things. They can really just send your life in another direction. Say I did meet that bird. Do you know what I mean? And it was
Yeah,
sort
you
of like,
wouldn't have been here now, would you? Your whole life changed. It was all to do with Reading.
Yeah, it's like little certain things it's sort of, because your life's about people you meet, isn't it? That's what life's a lot about at times.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Who you meet and stuff like that. It's just, but I'm glad it's just the way it is. But I'm glad of the direction that it's taken. Where we're on, I don't know. We know about this whole flat Earth thing, which is quite an interesting thing because we're only about 1 or 2% actually know about it.
Yeah, you're someone else that goes up to Hyde Park Corner, aren't you? And you do your bit up there, don't you?
I've been up there a few times. Yeah, I went to the first main one ever. That was, and I've been up there ever since. Now and then I go when I can. It's been good though. Yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah, it's not as you shouldn't really get into an argument with them too much. But you should just you should sort of. I don't really argue a lot with them about it. It just seems stupid to argue to people about whether the world's flat or not. Especially if they don't go and do it. You can tell them about it and you can educate them. That's a better way of doing it, where you just sort of like teach. So I teach geocentric cosmology. Or just give them a little basics. Is that a good way of looking at it, Karen?
It is. I must admit, I don't know if I'm that good at going out there and doing that. I like people who are already awake, to be honest. Myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is a tough thing. But it's sort of like I've had a situation where what happened in because I went on the Globe Live tour in Berlin of all places.
So did Gary go on that one?
I'm not. That went on for so long before I even got there. He might have.
Right.
He might have. A lot of the others were. So Charlotte was there, but not on my one. On my one, I had it was me, Lisa, and Jack, and Jack's mate who only spoke Lithuanian. So we did a lot of sign language.
Josh.
Biggies, huh?
Josh.
No, not. He's not. His name's what is it? He's got like long. You've got me there, Tab. Yeah, but anyway, so Jack and his mate.
Jack. Sorry, it's Jack, isn't it?
Jack, the driver, who's friends with Lisa. Yeah. So, but Jack, what it is, I think Jason obviously sorted it out. So Jack met the Globe Live bus, at the Amsterdam convention. So it all started at the Amsterdam, and then they asked me if I wanted to do it. I said, yeah, I'll do it. I don't mind doing it. So I've done it, yeah. But it was great. But they had done it a long time before me. It was Roxanne and Jason, but obviously they got their own lives. They got kids and stuff like that. So they had to get back to their normal life. So I stepped in to do that, which I enjoyed. It was great. I've never really been on the road and all that, so it's feel like a bit of a rock star. You know what I mean? Sort of going from place to place, which it's quite a good thing. It was kind of cool. Yeah, I kind of liked it. Yeah. But what I was saying was, that Berlin one. I'll give a few leaflets out. And the teacher took the leaflets off the kids. And the kids were all surrounding me, right? It's like these loads of teenagers, like, and they were firing questions, and I was like, firing them back, and like, you've got like all the other troops as well, so they were sort of like, and I was telling them, no, space is fake, and it's just so, and they're like, what? And they're sort of like, it is quite big info, especially because you're right, because we've got all the proofs, like you can't make spinning balls of water. So that's a sort of a thing that they can sort of think about, and then they'll come back with gravity. But then I've got my T-shirt on. I had a black T-shirt on saying gravity is what holds all their lives together.
Mm.
That's what my black T-shirt said. Gravity is what holds all their lives together. Do you know what I mean? So then they sort of realise when they look at the sort of point to the T-shirt. So that's quite a good T-shirt to wear, that one. Because it's sort of like, then they think to themselves, okay, so you might be right.
Do you get people coming
because you can't make spinning balls of water, can you? Like,
do you get people coming towards you, like you think, here they come, there's going to be, like, we've now got to stand our ground and say our bit, or are they just passing and don't know you're there?
I only engage with people that want to learn. So they might know what it is. You give a leaflet if they want to take a leaflet. That's the first sort of like scene of the activism or teaching where they're interested enough and have enough time in their life to receive a leaflet. Especially, it's not a bloody Chinese menu, is it? It's like it's got like loads of proofs on this one leaflet. All these proofs we know and take for granted, like the gravity thing and the non-curvature, and basically there's a calculation for that. So it's all impressive stuff because we're showing them science. We're showing them real science. We've got all the answers in the way for if they want to know the answers. But so like. And it just depends. There's a lot of them what stand there, and they do actually debate. And I debated with some geezer about it. His brother worked in Antarctica, he reckons, but he actually was. See, it's actually hard to flat smack someone off the cusp because imagine if me and you got flat smacked off the cusp. You'd have to go away and look at the info. If they don't go away and look at the info. Like a decent flat earth post, like Eric Dubay post or something like that, put him in that direction. Or, then they might actually get somewhere. But there's a good chance they might, especially now with the algorithms, it's very hard for them to get there. Well, it took me 2 posts, Flat Earth Clues and History of Flat Earth, the Mark Sargent Flat Earth Clues, History, and I've got a few more debates. He seems to have a good bead on things, especially with the dinosaurs as well. That's another whammy. What it's got has lost me friends. That's lost me friends in my real world. I put dinosaurs are fake, I'll get loads of it, because most of my Facebook is just normal people, where just normal people from my area, what I've known, what I've in Camden, in Houston, yeah. So Regent's Park Estate here where I live. So I had a bit of a Facebook before this Flat Earth thing come. But when the Flat Earth thing come, I wasn't shy of putting it on Facebook because I felt that people needed to know about this. So, yeah, and it wasn't really that greatly received, to be honest. It's sort of like, it's a really hard sell it is, Karen. I've lost a few friends. A lot of people, like all of us.
Can I just say that you sound a long way away from your phone, by the way?
Sorry, yeah. Just saying, a lot of us have we've become it's quite challenging to tell. I don't know. You just seem to. You gain a lot of friends on the flat Earth side, but you do seem to lose a few on the other side, where they think you've lost the plot, where you haven't. You've actually gained the plot, not lost the plot. You've gained the plot. Because you know a lot more info, some serious education, what everyone should know, and it's so obvious all of it. And then, so it's sort of like 4 university subjects all thrown in one, but it's sort of something which you kind of take for granted, but it is that much info. I'm telling you, we know the amount of stuff what we're looking into, and it's not you're not getting any of this from a textbook. We're all thinking on our feet here and sort of accepting the reality of the truth. Is that right?
Yeah.
Even yourself with the Tartaria thing, looking into how dodgy and how manipulated the picture is with what they want you to see. And it's just sort of like us trying to unscramble, even, it's a good name, it's what your thing's called, the Unscrambled.
Yeah, you understand why that channel's called the Unscrambled channel now.
Well done, that's a good name. Well done, Karen, that's a good name, yeah. Yeah. How long's that been going now, that one?
Well, I started that one because I got into this case and I was hoping that if we could show and prove to everybody that the case wasn't right, then it might change things with the media. But I think I did my fair share on videos. I actually stuck one out tonight about it, but it hasn't happened, so we just carry on.
Yeah. Just carry on. Yeah, that's right. Then.
Unfortunately, even though the case is something wrong with the case, but a lot of people believe something different now, if you understand what I mean. And there's only so many of us who believe that it's not right. So basically, that case was made for us to get into. They gave out so much information, so much bit of footage. There's so many things that are wrong. That's where that channel started, on that case.
On the case.
Yeah, but now I go to other things. I do a bit on the media. I put a bit of NASA in there. I try to.
But on that, so the unscramble was just for one thing originally, about what case?
The Watts case, yeah.
The Watts case. What's the Watts case?
This is supposed to be your hangout. August last year, this guy killed his pregnant wife and 2 children.
So you're a proper case. I forget about that. Yeah.
It's not a proper case though, but he supposedly killed his wife and 2 children. It's just that all the footage is wrong, and it's on crime programs and so forth, and it's all about selling the hype, selling the disaster, selling this, and there's just so much wrong with the footage.
Yeah, that's a bit.
Also, they gave out everybody's names and addresses, including the girlfriend, who was supposed to be on a protection thing.
Right.
And it started off whereas I was protecting her, and then they showed this footage of the drive, and another channel actually, even though her work got stolen, someone else put it out, and I saw it. And I thought, I'm just going to make my own video about that. And I started to slow the footage down, and I was like, what? Because none of the footage added up.
Yeah. Oh, right, yeah.
It wasn't a real piece of footage. It was all just stuck together. And then we noticed things like the discovery document said that this person was there for 10 minutes, and they weren't. They were there for about 45. Well, the footage is about nearly an hour long. Might be just over an hour. But the discovery document said he was only there for 10 minutes. If that's the case, how come we've got footage for over an hour?
Yeah, there's a lot of conflicting kind of evidence.
Yeah, and it goes on and on and on.
Yeah. So, alright, yeah. So,
but that's how that channel started. If you go back to the beginning, it's all about the Watts case. But over the last few months, I've started to get more into the politics and NASA, and putting some stuff on there about NASA and stuff.
Well, right, yeah. Just put. Like,
they're not actually a flat Earth channel. It's I don't know what you call it, but they basically get a lot of flat Earth stuff, even if it's not, the word's not really mentioned.
Well, you're probably better off not actually mentioning that it is flat Earth half of the time, because it's a shame that though, because I do.
Yeah, but that's because they have made us like that, though, haven't they, Lee?
Yeah, I know. It's sort of like they squeezed us out on the wording there.
So can't mention that. Can't mention this. You can't mention that. We're very tightened down, really. Anybody that thinks that we're free and we're in a democracy and all that, we're not.
Well, you can't mention flat Earth in ancient aliens groups or anything like that. Or what was it, MUFON? I was on that. Because West check all this out before the flat Earth situation. Because if you want to board in, you should be checking all that out. But thankfully we're not. And we're in lovely God's world. So stationary, perfect. So, but it's sort of like you would be sort of checking that out if you did think that, innit? Like. What I was saying was, you can't say flat Earth in there, because when on that original, I got chucked out because I told them about they not only know one side of the Admiral Byrd thing where they reckon he flew over, but that was all sort of just misinfo to sort of make him look to take.
That's what I think. I'm not sure whether he's real. He's just in there to give you that feeling.
No, he is real, because I'll tell you why he's real.
No, he's real, but a lot of the information that he's given isn't real.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Operation High Jump, where and Operation whatever the ones are, he sort of went over the ice wall, innit? And he found more landy records.
Yeah.
That's what he said. That's what he said, right? But you will never hear that in the Ancient Aliens group, because the Ancient Aliens group are all about, Admiral Byrd. Okay, they've got the bit about him going after the runaway Nazis. What probably did happen back down there to the Argentina, the bottom end of Argentina, the bottom of the world, as he put it himself. So there is that, and then you've got New Swaziland, and it probably did happen, because if they're toast, and which they were.
Well, we don't know though, do we? That's the thing, though. We weren't there.
We know the Second World War was real. It was real. It was real, Karen. This is what I'm saying.
It was real, but I feel that it was destroying the buildings and taking our children.
Yeah, of course it was. But they've done this even on the British side. That's what a lot of the there was this Bomber Harris, and on their side they had their versions of Bomber Harris, doing up the West End. But you see how they bombed a lot more of the East End. They were bombing the East End, but in London, the West End's more where like Baker Street. Remember I was telling you about them big Tartarian buildings?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but sort of like that probably got bombed less, maybe. I don't know. Well, I think the East End got a hammering, but obviously the bombs were all over the gap in London. But yeah, you're right. They're just sort of like, they made a war. Remember when I was telling you, was we having that conversation yesterday or today about the Queen's three brothers running the show? And really, the First World War was the Kaiser v King George, isn't it, or whatever? That's Queen Victoria's sons. And the other one, the Tsar Nicholas running Russia. They bloody run them.
Well, do you know what my thing is? When I was looking at the footage, I'm thinking that there is, oh my goodness, what's his name? There's George, and then there's one afterwards. Oh my goodness!
King George is the one before Elizabeth.
Right, it's the one. It's him. Yeah, it's him. He's the grandson of Queen Victoria, and he looks just like the Tsar of Russia.
They all look the same. They're three identical, but the actual German, the Kaiser German one, looks a bit more sort of like a bit more big eyes, sort of like as they sort of.
Yeah, the father actually looks quite coloured. He's very dark skinned.
Well, I've never seen them. That is an interesting, but I've never seen the father. That's a good point. But you know who they know? The father was what it is. They're originally from like Venice.
Edward. No, is that Vienna. Edward then? Edward.
Vienna is near Venice. No, Vienna. So they're kind of from this sort of like Austrian German. Basically, they run all the banking system, and that's why they brought all the Tudors out. So the Tudors got into loads of debt, like King Henry and all that. They couldn't pay the money, and so basically they just moved in because they owed them so much money that they basically that's how they're here now. And they changed the name to Windsor from Coburg or whatever because it didn't really sound right for us because we're going to war with Germany or whatever. That's why they changed the name, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Edward.
Edward. Yeah, but Edward was the one that left and went with the American bird, isn't it?
No, there's another one then. It must have been Edward the Seventh, and then no, he's the one that comes before the Queen. Then you've got George. Then you've got Edward.
But Edward was it got abdicated? Isn't it?
I can't remember what number they were. So it goes Queen Victoria. It goes Queen Victoria. Then I think it's Edward. Then it goes George.
No, Queen Victoria. Then George. Then Edward. Because George.
And
died,
then George
then
again. Then it's George. Then it's the Queen.
Yeah, because
no, it's her dad. It's her dad comes in. Her dad's then king, and then the Queen comes in.
Yeah, but it's sort of like so that's interesting, isn't it? It's sort of But what was we sort of getting to the point?
Well, I was just saying that Queen Victoria's son, he looked quite dark skinned.
You're saying this, is it?
Yeah, he just doesn't look white. His skin looks different.
I don't know. I'll have to look into that, Karen. To be honest with you, they do look white to me.
I think if you go and have a look at Queen Victoria's son, when you see the pictures of him, you're going to go, oh.
I'll have a look. Yeah, I'll have a look.
Anyway, let's get back. It's your hangout. Let's get back to you.
Oh, yeah, but,
yeah. Lee's a right sweetie, aren't you, Lee?
Huh?
You're a right sweetie, you are.
No, you are. You're the sweetie around here, not me. You are, Karen. Yeah, no, you're a diamond. You're good. You're great for the flat Earth, and they're lucky to have you.
Oh, bless your cotton socks. That's likewise. Good to have you, the infantry out on Speaker's Corner.
Yeah, and all over the place. Yeah, here, there, and everywhere. I don't do as much as they do, though, to be honest, because I've been a bit lazy here and there, but not. I went on that tour, so that's one thing I've done. And I've seen a few countries. Yeah, I've never been to Berlin before, so that was great. And Hamburg, you want to see Hamburg? These massive, beautiful Tartarian buildings. But them buildings, what you were showing in your thingy. That's what that Marylebone Road looks like. So,
yeah, I think you need to almost like go through every street of London, don't you? There's one.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Like these kind of like Roman columns.
What did they take out then? If they bombed all this stuff in Europe, what did they take out there?
Where? What do you mean? Where?
Well, I'm saying
but there was a lot of we obviously dropped bombs on Germany, obviously, and France. It all took a battering. Imagine France.
But it could have been our own soldiers doing it to ourselves.
Yeah, I know. It's all crazy. What was it all about anyway? What was the? Maybe it was about they had. Let's tell
them that it's this and Hitler's done that and he's been killing people when really he was only doing what they wanted. He was taking the children and they were destroying the infrastructure of each country. But he may never have, he may have just been a character for the people.
See, that's the thing, and it's just sort of like looking at the whole history of the thing. You've got the. It's just a bit of a headache. Well, there's been a few lies, and people, like even British people, ain't really told about the truth, like what really happened in the war and what happened after the war, and what
Wouldn't you just love to have been in some of those meetings? So this is because on Unscrambled, I put a video out over the weekend. Gary watched it, the person before, but basically it's got Donald Sullivan in it. And this guy goes for a job interview, and then he's basically told what happens, and it's like we make the war, we make the news 3 years ahead, and so that's what he was being employed for, was to make the news.
What film's that?
It's on Unscrambled channel.
Is it Captain America?
No, it's an old sort of short movie from the 1968.
Okay.
So obviously, he's quite young.
You know what you're saying? It's interesting. Yeah,
but that film told us everything that they're doing to us today.
Right. Okay. And do you know what else? There was actually meant to be some kind of truth in the. I don't watch any Marvel comics or these films. My mate wanted me to watch loads of them before, but I couldn't be bothered. Right. So, but there is actually one or two which is actually truth in plain sight, and it's the Captain America one. I've been informed of something about the war. It's like there's something about the Second World War which is actually rings true in that Captain America. But I haven't seen it. But I'm specifically going to watch it for that. Do you know what I mean? It's got a little bit of our true kind of world in it, so I might watch it now. But yeah. So but you're saying the other one is some.
Well, I can't. I've forgotten the name of the.
Kelly's Heroes. I love Kelly's Heroes. Go on, carry on.
Oh no, I was just saying I can't remember what the name of the film was now. But it's on Unscrambled. But it's just incredible. That just tells you whatever we think is going on now is in that program. And it was 1968 they made that.
Well, so they just oh right, yeah.
It's a short film. It's a short film.
Do you know what they reckon as well? They reckon that they cut the frequency of they changed the frequencies in about the mid 60s, late 60s. Kind of like just so strange about this hertz. You know, like there's no crap music now, innit? They got,
Yeah,
like,
they don't have to crank it very much before it becomes unbearable.
It's, do you know? Could you name a one-hit wonder from last year?
What? That's the name of the.
In our day, we had a lot of one-hit wonders, innit?
Yeah.
You know, you put on the radio, there'll be a great song on it, or there'll be a song where you can remember. But where's the one-hit wonders? Or where's the? They're all got. There's just nothing. I don't even know what. There's just nothing coming through.
No, and that's why they need things like the corona. That's why they need that's why they need viruses, and they need other things in there to keep us topped up as the next bit's coming, and then the next.
Online world as well, Karen. That's what's kind of killed the. I don't know. It's all kind of strange, really. Where what has actually happened to the music situation? It's like the last real group were like.
Well, I think it's all imploding.
There's not many others. It's like. It's all fragmented, sort of like posh boys what come through here and there, and there's no real sort of like real scene going on, like Stone Roses or something from the Manchester Lads, or the punk, just sort of like, or even the Beatles from with the people, a lot of them playing instruments, and a lot of them thinking they were blues musicians, which is a good thing because that means they're probably really good on the guitar, which a lot of them were, like Clapton.
Well, I just think they're imploding. A couple of months ago, they did. I told you this the other day on the Hangout that didn't happen. Basically, Elon Musk made this video to show this person was throwing these two balls at a car, that Tesla car, and of course it smashed the windows. But when I slowed the footage down, it was all fake. The footage of that was fake. So they made an untrue video of something that failed, and you think, what? I just think something's going very wrong.
What, did they throw a snowball at the car, or what did they throw at the car?
They throw some stones at it to show that the glass would withstand things, and of course it didn't. It cracked the glass, it broke the glass, so that of course anybody in the car would have been dead in space.
But why did they show? Oh right, yeah, but why did they show that?
The video isn't real. Their legs aren't there, and the whole thing is just like, why would they do that? I've got no idea, Lee.
I don't know. Do you know this whole Elon Musk thing? It's just such a beyond a joke, in it really. It's just sort of like I kind of don't. I should watch a lot more of it, but I know it's all fake and a joke, so I kind of...
Yeah, where do we put... I think what we need to do is we need to ram them all up and stick them on the rockets.
What, all their lies?
Just stick them all on the rocket and send the rockets off.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The thing is that I think sometimes, like when they're showing us President Clinton, it isn't really... President Trump, it isn't really him. And so you'll never find who these people are, because that's not really them. They're all deep faked.
Well, they reckon that, there's some Shaq O'Neal, the basketball player.
Right.
There's footage of him sort of going into a freeze like it's not real or something, and it's for real, I'm telling you, man. And like,
I saw one of Katy Perry the other day doing that.
It might be the clone or something like that sitting there.
I looked at it.
Mike Tyson's got his own clone.
I looked at it because it said Katy Perry was the one I saw. They're either it is something mind control or they're on drugs.
Yeah, or it is actually a clone. They reckon they've all been cloned and all this sort of like all the Hollywood famous. It's all a bit crazy, but you never know. It might be for real. They reckon it is for real. Where Mike Tyson's clone got arrested in a club or something. It's so crazy. Like you think, what? But imagine being a clone of like, what does that feel like? And do they feel like us?
Well, we're all clones, though, in a way, aren't we? I'm a clone from my parents.
It's such a bizarre thing. It's like making a Frankenstein, but obviously the Frankenstein's got it ends up it's got a bigger heart than the person that made him. Do you know what I mean? It's just sort of like really sort of like bizarre sometimes, like just a wash thrown at us sort of thing. But yeah, it's sort of like the telly. That's the telly as well, but I don't know. It's just sort of.
The best thing we can do is talk to each other. That's unfortunately that's where we are.
Pick it all apart because there must be some good on the TV. There must be some educational stuff. There is some far out stuff. I've just thought you feel cheated, but our BBC cheat us. That is a liberty, because we pay we paid it the license fee and all that kind of rubbish. But the BBC used to be a good thing, and that was when journalism was free. Now it's all linked in, where the bloody Dallas and Seattle news will be the same as the London and Birmingham news, and it's all linked in, and like there's no.
Well, I think certain areas get told. I think America get told one thing, we get told another. Because if you listen to the Americans, they keep going, the United Kingdom owns us, runs us, and you're like, what? Well, over here, America runs everything.
What do they think? Well, in a way, what it is.
They keep going in their videos.
This is actual truth knowledge. What I picked up recently. They basically, where it says Britannia rules the waves.
Mm.
Well, that ain't no joke, because you've got land law and you've got something called admiralty law. So when you go to the the court, you go to the dock. You go to it's all basically admiralty sort of sea words. Like when I don't know if you ever. It's sort of what's the post on that recently? It's a really good post where there's a few posts what have come up about that recently, but it's just a brilliant little subject where basically, and also with America, when they kind of can't find a solution to a problem in the courts, what they do is they go to our courts. They come to the British courts to find out an example of what this law was and what that law was, because all their laws are taken from many of our laws. So in a way, what it is, they're saying that the Queen sort of Britannia rules the waves. So in a small way, that is still the case. I don't know the total ins and outs of it, but that's what it's all about. Did you know that, Karen?
No, I didn't.
Right, I'm gonna send you that post. It's basically a common, there's some woman she works for the British Embassy, a Commonwealth woman, and she's well clued up, and she's just basically explaining all what I've just explained, but in massive more detail. I'll send you that post. But there is a few of them that have made that kind of post and making that kind of information. It's an interesting one. It's a bit like the Federal Reserve kind of type thing, where they're kind of separate from the real bank, the other banking thing, and you know what I mean. It's kind of one of them things where the elite, that's why they're in control, because you've got the Admiralty thing on the seas, and then you've got the biggest bank of all is a public company. Ain't even sort of going through the same channels as everyone else. Yeah, it's interesting, that, isn't it? But that's these kind of little things like that. That's where they've got yeah. But I don't know. We think that America are more powerful than us, but maybe we might be wrong.
And they think we are.
Well, we're the originals, that's why. But what are we? And there's all these things about these resets and stuff like that, and getting. But with America, I've noticed the reset situation is more like when all the people turn up in a city and to populate the city. And there was one where the guy had loads of people on the beach, and there was one problem with this picture on the beach. Do you know what the problem was?
What's that?
No towels. So with no towels, so many people just sort of it looked like they'd all just turned up and was just told to sort of go on the beach there, and they took a photo. But it was a really weird thing where there was no towels. But you probably would have to press more information on what type of year, and was it the summer or not, and things like that. But it's just a very strange thing where, but it was just an example this guy was using where he's saying that they populated that city. It's like it's an idea, isn't it? It's like the Tartario kind of mudbloody kind of type thing where they basically, because of something happened, they're not telling us. They kind of, I don't know. I reckon London. I was thinking they couldn't have done that with London, because London's the original one, isn't it? You couldn't depopulate London. There's all these kind of mass burial graves. Even there's stuff we don't like. There's sort of even where I am in Euston Station, there's this situation where in that, remember I was telling you about that St James's Park, in the gravestones, there was this but they had to, because they're building a new a fast, high-speed HS2. They're building from Euston to Birmingham for quick, high-speed rail. But they're kind of carving up a lot of central London over that. My end of central, this Camden end, where just outside Euston Station, because the new track's going to run into Euston. But it's kind of carving up what it's carved up as. It carved up St James's Park. Now, St James's Gardens, we used to play in there with the kids. It's just all like loads of graveyards and all that, and then they've got like a football pitch in there as well at the back. But most of it is basically massive trees, like big old trees, and basically loads of old gravestones. And then you've got this hotel at the back called the White House. Now, where that White House hotel was, we used to call it the White House, but anyway, the Kennedy Hotel is called. It used to be called the Kennedy Hotel. So it was just on when you come out of Euston Station on the right. But there's a massive park there, and they reckon they found these Roman catacombs in one of the graves. Like really deep down in one of these graves. These Roman catacombs. How do we know they didn't have like serious info or just sort of like? So they basically what they done was. They basically canopied the whole, like a crime scene, because these Roman catacombs are such a big deal and all that. They're like buried chambers or something in this St James's Park in the ground. So basically, I looked out on my balcony. I can see St James's Park from my tower block, and it's just a white canopy over the whole of St James's Park, like a crime scene. And there's not many places they would do that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But how do we know? There might be some serious info about what this place was before the Tartarian thing.
Yeah, we'd like to know it.
but can you see how they got in there first? Maybe it would be better if we found that find, not them, because there might be a book there, there might be information, or just like some real kind of gold sort of proofs of stuff. And I hope there's a program about that. Sometimes they make documentaries about these kind of type things. Finding a Roman catacomb burial places. You don't find that every day, and it's sort of it's just outside. It would have been just outside the something called the Euston Arch, which actually got knocked down. Do you know about that?
No.
Right, there was a thing called. But it's just a really kind of weird thing. But an arch to where? Was it an arch to a world sort of different to this place, where it was basically it's called the Euston Arch, and it was so magnificent. It was like a Tartarian thing with the most beautiful ceiling. And do you know what else it looked like? A bit like like New York Central Station, built that like that.
Right.
That well. Do you know New York Central Station? Have you ever seen it?
I'm not sure.
Well, it looks very impressive. It's like a golden age of it just looks brilliant. But can you believe it? It would have looked like that. That's what Euston Station used to look like. Can you believe that? But now,
I suppose because we used to travel by train everywhere, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. But they're probably lying about the time zones on the train. There must have been. So when did the trains get invented? I think it's about
1850s.
Yeah, 1850. So 1800s. The whole of probably about the beginning of the 1800s. They figured that out. I think it was James Watt in it, the steam. I can't remember when the first steam. But they probably had the. How do we know they didn't bury it? I don't know. It's all a bit weird. Where there is that Grand Central Station was no way built by horse and cart merchants. Do you know what I'm saying? It's sort of like it's so well built. And another interesting thing, Karen. When I'm an electrician, yes, I do. When I worked at the Albert Hall. The Albert Hall's so old. It's sort of like the Albert Hall. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's like a big theatre, kind of like it's a gig venue these days for all the bands play there and that. But originally, it's sort of like where I don't know, where the opera singers would sing, and or whatever. But the electrical system underneath. So it was like a big tunnel where me and this Jamaican good geezer, this Jamaican friend of mine, basically no, he was the electrician, I was the mate. I was when I was in my early 20s. So, and we used to just sort of not do a lot down there, to be honest. We used to cut out a few cables, have a little cheeky little smoke here and there. But I remember it being a hush thing about, some of the cables I was cutting out, they were so old that it was like, you're not really meant to know this info about these old cables are so old that it sort of defies when electricity was, basically they're too old for them to be, like, they're probably older than what they say, 150 years old. So electricity hasn't been around that long. I'll tell you another amazing thing as well, Karen. Do you know the electric drill? How long do you think that's been out?
Longer than I think it is.
No, you will not believe this. Like nowadays, it's 5.5 drill bit, a masonry drill bit with a hammer, bang, you get a hole. It's easy. You know what they had to do? And this is basically the late 80s. They had to make their own holes in walls, electricians, to get a fixing into the wall. And it was called some kind of tool where you kind of put it to the wall, and you sort of like made it. You had to turn a sort of a wheel thing to scratch a hole out. Can you believe that? And that was the early 90s. That was the late 80s, early 90s. The drill, I looked into the drill, the history of, the handheld drill. It only came out in about 1991. I thought, you've got to be kidding me. Can you believe that?
Well, it probably didn't, but...
No. Well, no. It's true. Well, basically, there was no drills because what they used to do is they used to put little bits of wood in there. I don't know how they've done all the electrical and how they, basically what it is, right? What it is, the Empire State Building. That building, that's not a great building. You know why? Because what it is, that's the first building of what we got now. With the way they built it, with it being sort of like chucked up. The way they chuck the buildings up now. They don't like make them a beautiful stone, do they? That was the first building. That's what I was watching the Smithsonian channel about that. Smithsonian channel, can you believe that? They got a Smithsonian channel, and they're the ones who were throwing all the big giant bones away, and But anyway, they've got a Smithsonian channel, and sometimes that's what I mean. Sometimes you're actually better off watching a bit of TV because there is a bit of education to it if you want to pick the best out of it. But what he was saying was that what is it? This Smithsonian thing. What was I saying again, Karen? Just remind me. Hold on, yeah. So what was I saying about that Smith? Oh yeah, that was it. The Empire State Building. That's what they were saying about the Empire State. That is, like you've got the high tower built, the NatWest Tower or whatever is, in Canary Wharf. Them type of buildings, with the glass. That was the first building they made like that.
So some things aren't. So what you're saying is some things aren't as old.
It was the death of the stone building. It was the now we'll just shut, but that won't last. That won't last anything. That'll just fall down in years to come. The stone buildings won't know. The ones what are made of stone, they're going to be there forever. But these other ones they chuck up now, like the office type, glass world. See this glass world we got now? Mm-hmm. That was the first glass world building. That's what they were saying, the Empire State, and that's why it's so iconic. That's after that paved the way for all the other buildings, and they said that's how they stuck up a city, and that happened everywhere else. But it was the Empire State what was the first one. Interesting, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It is, yeah, because that sort of like was the end of the actual real buildings. So now, and then it's a shame though, because no one knows how to do like that stonework or rebuild Notre Dame, and there's no chance. You know, you got a couple. You know, what about a couple of geezers? What can throw a couple of plasterboards up? Job done, innit?
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. You've all got to be with your registration, your documents.
But can you understand where even for the electricity, they didn't have the drill, but still they didn't need the drill. Can you understand? Because they're not working with the stone anymore. They're working with plasterboards, and you know, it's sort of like it's really strange the way that sort of that happened like that. Just bizarre, really. But it's just sort of like stuff I kind of keep an eye on.
How do you feel? I was looking at. I used the 1906. It was an earthquake, but basically Martin Leakey, I just noticed when he was talking, he was saying that the buildings are full of steel. So basically, put a steel frame up, and then they put the building with all the stones and the tataria afterwards. But he was going, you know, like metal buildings in the 1800s. Wow.
Yeah, this is it. This is the thing. It's kind of like a lost world. There is an artist, or there's a guy what draws, or you know, like a golden age of like what New York used to look like. You know, you've got some of them buildings still up in it. You know, that really thin one and all that. There's a really thin one there. Mm-hmm. I just knocked a load of bloody I just knocked a load of stuff on the floor here, Karen, by mistake. Don't matter, go on, carry on. So I'm just doing a bit of tidying.
Well, we've been going for an hour and 11 minutes. Do you want to finish off what you're talking about, and then you can No,
you're right. Go on, carry on.
So we're gonna finish in a minute though.
Are we?
I can't get rid of Lee now.
Really, we're going on for yes. Well, yeah, that's interesting. That so. That's St James's Park. Remember that Roman catacombs thing I was telling you about?
Right.
But that's the park, St James's Gardens in London. They're going to knock it down, and they're going to build the high speed rail. But I was saying that there's just, you know, you might have a few sort of things in that burial, and hopefully they, you know, I don't know, they're keeping stuff from us. And are they keeping stuff? Do you think?
Oh, they're definitely keeping stuff from us.
Of course they are. They're keeping loads of info. That's why everyone thinks they're on a ball. You know, when you get that lie right there, you might as well just forget the rest. Because, you know, that's such a ridiculous thing, isn't it? How can all the scientists, it just makes everything a mockery of everything, really. Absolutely everything. To come up with that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It is a big thing, right? It's very hard to tell people about flat Earth if they don't watch the videos. If they don't watch the videos, they're never going to know. You know, I'll get them on my Facebook, and they come back after 6 months, and they'll pop a little question or they don't really poke anymore. Like, they don't really kind of like, because I've had sort of like, you kind of end up having all the sort of like, I've had all the dramas about it all before. And it is quite a sort of scary thing to tell people, isn't it? Like that. Oh, by the way, you've just been lied to all your life, and you know everything that you think you know, don't you? Is actually wrong. Does that sound a bit arrogant?
No, you're lovely, Lee.
No, I'm just saying, but that's how crazy it is. That it does feel that. When you tell people about any of this stuff, so that's why you're better off just, I don't know, I've told people about it, and they're not flat earthers. They're loads of friends of mine.
It's like we're walking two different paths with all these people, though, isn't it?
Well, I am, and I tried so hard to show them, because you want a few people on your side, innit, what you sort of were growing up with and all that. And it's just the way it's all worked out is that, because they've got jobs and, you know, stuff like that, and they're our age, so sort of like they got their own lives, and just sort of people ain't got time to look up all this stuff. I am only a flat earther because I've just taken it's just perfect timing where do you know what I mean? A lot of people, like, say they got like 3 kids to look after and all that, they've got to be on the building site working.
Yeah, I do think that it does attract people who haven't got children, children have grown up, that kind of thing. You're like younger or older. Those in the middle with children, they're busy looking after the children, aren't they?
Yeah, but that's the thing. But it is out there, because even some Bengali guy I knew from when I was in primary school. He goes. I go. Do you know about flat Earth? Like, and he goes. I go. Do you know about flat Earth, Abdul? Yeah. And he goes. Yeah, my son told me about it. That's what he said to me. He goes, my son told me, and I thought, wow, your son. That's what I said to him. Wow, man. And he goes, well, I just couldn't believe it. He said his son told it. He believes it, that his son told him. And that just sort of, that's just a random sort of friend from way back. Like, just local people. So it is out there. It's sort of like, it's sort of strangely out there, but you really had to get it when you got it. And the time to get it was between 2015 and 2018, really.
Yeah, I was 2016 myself.
Well, there you go. So I was more 2017. So, which is kind of like, what is it, 3 years now? So it's about 3 years I've been a flat earther. But I didn't get it in 2015. I was into the ancient aliens research then. And that's how I come across the flat earth as well, because basically it was a hole in the mountain post where it was a really good hole. It was like, well, who made the hole in the mountain like that? And it's like where enough big for a craft to fly into. And you go, oh, that's interesting. So I pressed onto it. And it was an Antarctica post. So, because without there's still kind of like a mystique to Antarctica without the flat Earth. There's still a big mystique to it. So I sort of like pressed onto that. You got the pyramids or whatever. That's the kind of thing what the ancient aliens lot come in with, that kind of that on that angle. Do you know what I'm saying? So, which might, and they. The pre-Adamites or whatever under the ice, and that's what kind of like. So I was kind of looking for with like Linda Moulton Howe kind of type stuff, like. But then I kind of like it flicked onto the. It was just an ingenious move. But it wasn't that post. It was the Mark. It went into a Mark. It was the guy in like some American installation, and he bends down onto the transformer box. He's like an American soldier in Antarctica or something, in some. Looks like a sub-basement of an electrical place or something, and he spins down and he writes Mark Sargent Flat Earth Clues. Flat Earth, Mark Sargent Flat Earth. No, it doesn't say Flat Earth Clues, it just says Mark Sargent Flat Earth, I think. And it goes in to the main, like the main posts, there's sort of like the ones, I don't know, the Flat Earth Clues or the History of Flat Earth. It went into one of them. So I've obviously seen both of them, History of Flat Earth, the debate one, or I think it was, but back then, they all used to share each other's stuff. So if you saw one, it would be on the other. And then you would see Dave Murphy on that one and that one. They all had the Dave Murphy, because he explained it so perfectly well, a lot of the stuff, and the way he come over was so good. That they sort of like, why not? And he does have a bit of an electricity to him, where he's sort of like that a non-flat earth. But actually, Dave was the only one he used to like listening to. So he done well there. But so basically, that's how I got into the flat earth thing. It was a fluke, a complete fluke. That's what it was. It was I was researching Antarctica and ended up coming up trumps with what I know now, and it went from there. And it's sort of like it's like doing a project. You just drop the project and you find a new project. You think, forget all that don't matter anymore. And you sort of like onto the truth subjects, then onto the flat earth and and that's what happened to me. But you basically got to get it. You got to get all this within 2 posts. If you're like me, I didn't know no flat earthers, no groups, I thought you had to pay for YouTube. And there's a lot of people out there still, especially my age, not in the computer world. They're not all these they're not like youngsters and they're brought up with computers and all that. There's a generation out there, which is about 40 and above, which did not have that world, especially if you're working class. Now you think, how come this bloke, what's he talking about? He doesn't know about YouTube and whether you've got to pay for it. But that's just the situation. That's just the way the life is. Working class people on building sites are not in front of computers. Do you know what I mean? And it's a fact. And you just, you know, especially when you're in the rat race as well, you don't get a minute to yourself. If I was on site, right, I would never have been a flat earther. It's only because I wasn't working. And I just had time to, time to study stuff and look into things. That's the only reason now. It's crazy, really. Because you're not going to get there. It's very hard to get in if you're not show. I don't know if sort of like you'll probably miss it. There's probably a good chance you'll miss this, which people have, because I've shown them. I normally show them the history of flat Earth because that's the best one, because it takes you through the 500 years of deception from Copernicus to the. So that's a good one to show people, which is a bit more. Yeah, so there's that's a good one to show, but they never get it, man. A lot of them don't get it. They just don't get it. Why don't they get it? Why can't they get the curve? Why can't they get that there's no curvature? I just don't get it. There was one friend, I showed him that history of flat Earth, and on the way home. He texts me, "Lee, the Earth's round." Oh, God. There's no hope here.
It is frustrating
really
that it is frustrating that the people don't get it, and they don't want to either. I don't think some of them.
Well, I got battered by two, not battered, but mentally battered by two. Every single thing of that, they just kept slamming it. After I think it was after. Basically a funeral, a couple of friends come back to mine for a drink and all that, or whatever, just for a coffee or whatever, and we ended up watching that because they were like, they heard I was a flat earther in it. People think, oh, it's Lee lost the plot or something, what's going on here? So you kind of show them it, but because you've shown other people they know it and they didn't like it, you've got that against you straight away. Do you know what I'm saying? So you showed another thing, they didn't get it. They're telling these friends, it's a load of shit. So by the time they come and watch my stuff, and watch what I'm showing them, which is all legit truth of stuff, like the history of flat Earth or something like that, or flat Earth clues, or whatever one I showed them, sort of, they didn't get it. Like you got that cartoon with on the Bedford levels, and the guy is standing there with the flags. How can my friend not get that? And he's thinking that the experiment is, I don't know. They're just such.
Lee, can I just say we've been going? Can I just say we've been?
No, it's just my turmoil, just sort of turmoils of showing people this stuff and them not getting it really. That was just what I was saying, and basically, you feel a bit disappointed, like that. They're not stupid people either. They're bright people, but they don't get it. They just don't get this thing we get.
I do notice that a lot of people who've woken up are very calm, kind people.
Maybe we're being chosen.
I did say to Gary on the hangout before, I said, I don't know what it is. It seems the empaths, and maybe we're all autistic or something. And we pick up on this frequency that other people don't pick up on.
Yeah, I know. It's sort of maybe you might be right there, Karen. And it's sort of maybe we're selected.
Well, I'm glad you're on the gang, Lee.
Karen, yeah, and likewise, yeah. It's good that I've spoken, because a lot of people would know your voice, and like a sort of like a bit of a. Not a famous person, but a famous or well-known person. Do you know what I'm saying? So they feel they know you more than you know them. But now you feel you know me a bit better now, innit?
Yeah, I do. I know what you mean, though. People think they do know you. I just, I remember a few times I went to a few flat Earth things and they were running up to me and I was like, what? This is when we first we've been going for about 6 months, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, what is all this?
People know you, you know what I mean? And it's a weird, strange thing here. It's good though.
Yeah, and people, they think they know you better than they actually know you as well. Because you don't know them at all.
Much, yeah, I don't exactly. Yeah, it's a natural thing, but especially if you're not used to voices. Normally it's like movie stars. Where you get that scenario where someone from EastEnders or something, you might know Ian Bill, But Ian Bill doesn't know you, does he?
Yeah, it's the same
like,
thing. I've been watching you every week, and they go, "Oh, okay then," and you know them, they don't know you.
I know, it's you know, like religiously as well, and some people don't miss an episode of their favourite programmes and things like that, and such a bizarre thing, that, isn't it? But you know, if I was famous, I would sort of be alright with that. I would. I think I'd be cool about that. I'd be well cool about things like that. I'd just go along with it. Like,
Lee,
but I know you meant it's quite hard because how you meant to go. What?
I'm going to stop the hangout now. This is really sweet though, because when I talked to you the other day, you were like, "Oh, I'm really worried about coming on," and now I can't get you off.
No, but I was completely. Was it good? The other one as well. Like,
I did. That was a good hangout too. But this was a good one too, and it's nice to hear.
Really, I reckon the other one was good as well, isn't it? We touched on a lot of subjects there.
Yeah, we have today.
Have we? That's great. Yeah, but this is why I knew it was. Yeah, you know what? I've got.
And it's also, you know, I spoke to Gary earlier, and I've spoken to you. We've done Kill the Beast.
I mean, this is why I like to put my heart into things. That's why when I was sort of, I didn't want to do it quickly again. You know when you wanted me to do it, you know when it didn't record properly. You wanted to.
Yeah, I was going, Lee, don't go, and you were going, oh no, I've had enough. But now you've thought about it.
But it's good though. It's recorded. Imagine if this
one
didn't record
it's good to have.
Well, I'll be, oh my god.
It's good to have people like you on as well. The people that, you know, like you're part of the backbone of this thing, and a lot of people don't know who you are.
That's good. That's how I want it as well. You're a superstar in this whole thing. But,
oh, Lee, without you, there's not me.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful, man. It's
anyway, listen.
It's a great community. I've met a lot of good friends. To be honest, I shouldn't have as many friends as I do, and as many good times sort of thing. It's sort of like, it's rebooted us all, you know. It's a great little scene in a way. It's sort of like a hidden sort of scene, but it's a good scene still. And we do sort of meet up here and there, don't we?
Yeah. But Lee, I'm going. Should we finish this hangout and then you can talk to me?
We're going to finish this hangout.
I'm going to be talking to Lee after we finish the hangout, guys.
And thank you all, chat room, and all you wonderful people out there.
Lee, to you and to the chat room. Thank you so much, and yeah, it's been very interesting talking to you.
Thanks, Karen. Cheers.
Oh no, thank you, darling. Thank you.
Yeah, it's given me confidence. Thank you.
Oh, bless you.
Ah, cool, man.